So, what I offer is not a spiritual teaching. It's a single, solitary act of inward turning. A single, solitary act of attempting on your own hook, with your own natural intelligence, your own natural capacity for discernment. You can rely on those things, on your own hook, to get a taste of what it feels like to be you. Not because that taste is going to satisfy you, because it won't. There's nothing, you're really not there's not much to you. Not that that taste is going to satisfy you, or that taste is somehow going to reveal to you the truth of your nature or anything of the kind, but just as a medicine, taking antibiotics. Nothing more to it than that. Okay? Okay, I'm done talking. And now, it's your guys' turn. And I will stay here within reason, well, at least until 5, for as long as you want to come and talk to me and work with this. And if you're done now, we can leave now. But I'll give you a little time. Yes. Hi. What's your name?
Randy.
Oh, Randy. You're Randy.
Yeah, I've been, I've been listening to you for maybe, podcasts for maybe 4 years, and I like to, I think of myself now as maybe being in the course of recovery, but I understand that maybe I'm just deluding myself and I'm just using buzzwords that you use, just kind of parroting you. I've been quite a roller coaster ride, especially the last year or so, and now I seem to be kind of stuck in a situation where I'm just kind of flatlined. And I hear you talk about how wondrous life is and interesting, and I hear you say things like I love you guys, and I love everybody, and and I see, for me to get to that point would be kind of a miraculous transformation, because really I'm sort of I'm very cynical, and I still kind of keep everything at arm's length. I think I keep life at arm's length, and have a lot of self-protection and going on. But on the other hand, I can also see that over the last year or two, there've been times when life has really gone smoothly, regardless of what the circumstances have been. And so I don't know what my question is, but that's kind of where I'm at, and it's hard for me to make that leap that you have made, which is the leap from giving up the spiritual search to which I've done gladly, but I also given up the search for everything else. Given up and kind of lost a lot of the interests that I used to have, and I'm not a social person, and I look around at the world, and I see a lot of insanity and so on and so on. So.
Oh, I see a lot of insanity in the world, Randy. We're together on that. The human world of humanity is I almost said something I shouldn't say, but
go ahead and say it.
Bat feces crazy.
Yeah.
The human world, and that's just the case. That's what the fear has brought us to. That's what we've come to. And we've actually come to the point, and I don't want to come off like some kind of an Old Testament prophet, but we've actually come to the point where it really is possible that we may already be over the edge of the possibility of surviving as a species. And we certainly have it within our power, if we continue going the way we are, to just simply discard this species. It's just didn't work out. It was a good idea, but it didn't work out.
Somehow okay, so somehow you've, you think, well, you've got a purpose now. You can sort of, hey, I can at least try to save the world,
Oh, I think I can. I mean, not me.
Right.
But
well,
I think I am, actually, I'm completely optimistic. I don't know whether we've already gone too far,
right.
but I am filled with optimism, really, and hope. There's a non-spiritual. Now there is a non-spiritual thing, right? Hope. I'm filled with optimism and hope, because if this could come to me, it could come to anybody. And if it could come, I mean, literally, there are literally, I know I keep saying literally and so forth, but there are literally thousands of people now all over the world who have entered into this work and found the promise fulfilled. So I'm filled with hope and optimism about what's possible. I see how terrible things are. Things are hard. Things are, I mean, they're just, it's impossible to overstate the horror of the human creature and the way it's expressing itself in our time. But about you. About you. I can't know one way or the other what is actually occurring within your life. All right? I can't know. You can tell me that there are times when life seems to be smooth even though it's hard, and then those times pass and now you're in a position of being kind of, I guess, dumbed down and I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but inert and not interested in anything. It could be that you're on the course of recovery. That could be the case. If you started listening to me 4 years ago, it's a little more difficult for that to have been the case, because 4 years ago was a long time ago in the development of this, of my expression, right? Although there are people who were able to hear me even then. There are people that actually were able to hear me before then, just like there are people that were able to hear all the other people that are around, right? But here's the thing. We don't have to theorize and hypothesize about what's going on with you. If you will just look. Just look. You're here, right?
Well, yes, and but that has sort of, that looking has sort of taken the wind out of my sails, because I really don't have, I came here, I really don't have any burning questions, and you have pretty much said it all, and so.
Are you continuing to look?
Well, yeah. For example, during the break today, I mean, I went out for a walk, and I kind of looked at the beautiful scenery, but then I also made that attempt to look inward and to really concentrate on it and really work at it. And but then, like when I say it takes the wind out of your sails, it's kind of like, as you say, there's really no way of knowing that you're hitting the target, and there's really no immediate effect. There's no buzz you get. Hey, at least if you go out and smoke pot, you get a buzz.
Right. That's right. That is it's not a problem exactly, but it can be seen as a problem. Here's the way you can tell, and it does turn out that there is one thing, one sign that seems to be an almost sure sign that the looking is doing its work, and that is that you continue doing it.
Well, the fact that I'm here is pretty miraculous, really. That I'm at this retreat, which I would consider that I'm continuing doing it.
Right. If you continue doing it, and oftentimes you continue doing it even though it seems stupid to do so. If you continue doing it, then you've done it, and the end is sure, from the reports of everybody who has tried this. And have you been on the website?
Yes, I have. I haven't contributed to it, but I
have you
looked at it.
read or listened to the reports that have been put up recently from people?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
And you see how different they are, right?
Yeah.
And some of them, and there's one, there's a woman who I think she has a report up there. I'm not going to embarrass her by telling her name, but there's a person who, like, last month was writing and saying, this just doesn't work. This is stupid. It doesn't work. I'm still the same as I always was. I am just as conflicted, just as stupid, just as aggressive and all of those things as I've ever been. And then, what, a week, 2 weeks later? 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, an email came in which, and this isn't like the only communication I had with her. This is a communication that goes back over some time of complaint, and it's not working, and I don't know what I'm doing. It must be me, or it must be you, or I don't know what it is, and so forth and so on, over some period of time. And then 2 weeks after the last version of that report, everything broke open. I mean, not broke open. I hate to say that because it's not like a breaking open. But she wrote to say that now she sees life is just as I said it was. Anyway, the point is that
But she may be deluding herself too. I mean, because hey, a year ago,
listen to her report.
I mean, a year ago, I had periods where I was giddy. I was in love with life, and
yeah, that's not the kind of report I'm talking about.
Right.
I kind of take those with a grain of salt.
And I don't mean to say anybody's deluding themselves, except I'm in a situation where I'm always aware of, the self-consciousness. I'm always aware of the situation. I'm sitting here, I wonder what he's thinking, I'm thinking, and my mind's always going like that. I'm always aware of being aware, and it would be that self-consciousness. I've had that all my life, really, and I've always thought that was the enemy. And I think the valuable thing that I learned from you was that self-consciousness isn't the enemy. I mean, that's actually a tool. Self-consciousness it's a miraculous gift.
It's
really.
A miraculous gift.
But to go to be in a position where or to reach a state where I'm suddenly filled with wonder at looking at a blade of grass or a tree or something, I feel like I've just gone beyond that. I'm too cynical for that. I'm too aware of. I would be saying, oh, look at you, you're just pretending to be that, or you hear somebody else say it, and say, oh, well, what are they trying to get? What's their angle? And I mean, even with you, I've thought that, gee, I've argued with you for 4 years, trying to poke holes in what you say, and wondering what your motives are and things like that.
I'm trying to get rich, obviously. That's why I charge all this money.
Well, I know that I used to talk about grabbing ego by the throat. I wanted to grab John Sherman by the throat, but a guy who's been in prison 18 years, I don't think you grab me. You probably still know some moves. So. Anyway.
All of that, none of those things, the cynicism, the whole array of things, that liturgy of things that you just gave to us, none of that is of any importance whatsoever. It will go. And part of the whole apparatus is and it may not be something that's conscious or, like really present or anything, but a sense that what has to happen is things got to be wiped out. Like I said about the woman erroneously, everything broke open, that everything has to break open. And that was an error when I said that, because nothing breaks open. It takes some time, even after the neurotic behavioral traits and habits and so forth, even after they go, it takes some time to have any idea of what's happened. This is not a quick fix. And the other thing about it is that there is within us, especially those of us who are, and it's not just the spiritual seekers, it's those of us who have some kind of exalted sense of our intellectual understanding of things and our ability to see through things and so forth. It is not uncommon for us to expect that there will be a moment when everything is cleared up, and that's what I'm waiting for.
The aha moment where
Right.
the mind stops.
Right. This doesn't have that. And the truth is, and this is really important, there's no finishing to this. There is no finish. It's not like, things progress along some path to get to some preferred state, and then the preferred state arrives, and you say, I'm done. There's no finishing to this. This is life, which is endlessly surprising in the way that it moves and appears and expresses itself and changes and so forth and so on. Nothing is ever finished. You will never be finished. But the day is coming when that won't trouble you. In fact, you'll see it as a feature, not a bug. The day is coming. Now, for me, and I too, I was there, except for the brief period of time when I got enlightened, there wasn't anybody more cynical than me. I was, so I'm familiar with cynicism, and I'm familiar with its attraction, and I'm familiar with the fact that it has a certain sense of justification to it too. I'm familiar with all of that.
And detached irony.
Yeah, right, exactly. That all just goes. And it's not uncommon either for the one in whom that has become such a powerful part of the defensive apparatus itself. It's not uncommon for that to go maybe even before you know it's gone, and be honoring like paper cutouts of what used to be cynicism and ironic detachment and all of that. For me, it took, 94, 96, the 94, 96, 5 or 6 years. It took 5 or 6 years after having, in retrospect, seeing that I had accomplished what it was that needs to be accomplished before I knew that that was the case.
During those 5 or 6 years, were things getting worse? Not circumstantially, but your own just state of well-being or satisfaction. Your satisfaction.
Yeah, they were
with
getting
life.
much worse.
That was getting
there
worse.
was a period.
So you must have thought, this is not working.
Yes.
Whatever I'm doing is not working.
But I went into it thinking it wouldn't work. I was surprised that I was concerned about it didn't work.
And you had no one to tell you, just hang on, keep going.
That's it. I didn't have me, right? So
But I don't want you either, because I don't want to believe. I don't want to be in a situation where I have to believe what you're saying.
You don't have
because
to,
that's spiritual. That's
you do
spiritual
see that I don't
guru.
expect you to believe anything I'm saying. I tell you what I see to be the case, and you find out for yourself. This is a point of view that you can see whether or not there's any validity to it or any actual usefulness to it. I don't ask you to believe it, but when I say you don't have me, I mean I didn't have me. I didn't have somebody to try to speak from the point of view of the natural human state of sanity to someone who is undergoing the process of recovering from the horror of human life prior to that. I didn't have that. So it took 5 or 6 years from the time that the actual act was accomplished, and I know when it happened now. I didn't at the time, because I didn't know what I was looking for. But I know when it happened now, and it was accidental. It wasn't in compliance with what I thought would be the case, right? And it took 5 or 6 years, and the first part of that was in great misery. There was a period of about a year or so when I just kind of didn't care about much of anything. And in fact, when I was released from prison, you know, I had a 30-year sentence, and the only reason I had a 30-year sentence was because of some really understandable leniency on a part of 2 judges. It just was, it was bizarre. Really, nobody could understand it. But I had a 30-year sentence, and in the federal prison system at that time, that meant that I was eligible for what's called mandatory parole after completing 2/3 of that, 20 years of it. When I completed 20 years of it and was due for mandatory parole, mandatory release, I didn't believe I was going to be released. I mean, it wasn't like I said, oh, that's not going to happen. It's like, it was just incomprehensible to me that they would let me go. And on the day that I was to be released, they took me to receiving and discharge, the department that does that, right? And they put me in a holding cell. This is 6 o'clock in the morning. And the department head of receiving and discharge came in, and what they call the jacket, my files are like this, right? I'm not exaggerating. And this guy put me in a holding cell and went through every piece of paper in my jacket, searching for some way not to release me. But I didn't care. I mean, I sat in the holding cell, assuming that they were going to take me back and I'd be back into the system again, and I didn't care. But not in alive and, you know, like, oh, this is fine.
Oh, nothing's at stake. I'm so happy that I've
not like that.
Life,
just like
nothing at stake.
Just like, this is same old, same old. I'm not going to, you know, why would they release me? And then I went through a period of real torment and misery and psychological stupidity, and I don't even remember the particulars of it. And then things started to quiet down, and as things started to quiet down, and people started actually wanting me to come and talk to them, have satsang, then I started having satsang. Carla and I were married, and it began to dawn on me that something had really changed fundamentally. When I started trying to speak to people in a spiritual context, I came to see that I actually did have something to speak to people about, but this was not the vehicle that could possibly carry it. And then I began to see what was going on. So, 4 years, I wouldn't worry about it.
Well, I can still see, though, I mean, a guy who's been in prison for 18 years and he gets out, okay, gee, life looks pretty good all of a sudden, you know, gee,
Yeah, but that isn't the way it is when you get out of prison, actually. No, it's not, that's not.
Or
Getting out of prison.
I have a new lease on life.
No, that's not the way it is when you get out of prison. It's not
okay,
like
so
that.
So you had hit bottom.
It's like, oh, boy.
At some point you had hit bottom and you figured there was no way you're going to get out of it. And, but at all that time, when you had hit bottom, you were still doing this act, this one solitary act.
Yes, I was, as a matter of fact.
And
I didn't make much of it.
That was your only hope. That was your...
No, actually, it was just all kind of automatic. I'd given up hope. I couldn't even find the hope that I would be able to give up hope. You know, it was just that from time to time, without any reason whatsoever, I'd find myself trying to bring my attention inward, trying to get a taste of something that I had had a taste of before. And it wasn't that It wasn't that I planned it or I wanted to do it or it was part of my belief structure or anything of the kind. It just did itself. Just would come and do itself, and then I'd forget about it. Now, it used to be, when I first started talking about looking, that I would tell people, just do this whenever it occurs to you to do so. Because that was my sense of what was the case in my own case. That from time to time it would occur to me to do this, and I would do it. Since then, I've come to see that the occurring to me to do so was just the way I spoke of the fact that it happened. Right? It just happened and repeated. And it wasn't because I believed in it. It wasn't because I thought it was going to bring me anything. It just was something that happened from time to time.
And you knew it was happening?
Oh yeah, I knew it was happening.
You felt a sense that, gee, I'm feeling what it feels like to be me.
No, I felt a sense of inward looking, trying to find something. You know, not the sense of success. You have to, and this is good because it's important to see this. You may never, ever, now you will sooner or later, but it may be a long time before you actually are able to identify this constant experience of the presence of you for what it is. Maybe some time before that happens, because it's not at all obvious, and it's not at all, you know, interesting even, right? Until you see it for what it is. But the awareness of the feeling of you is always present, always in your consciousness, always. And we don't see it, and because it's of no importance to us. And it really is of no importance to us, see? That's the thing, it really is of no importance, except that it's the medicine that will cure the disease. Okay. After that, it's just you.
Okay, I just have one more quick question. And I mean, you talk about how I've heard you say, you know, give an example where you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and you know, you're surprised to see this old geezer, you know, because you think of yourself, you know, you still. But for me, sometimes it's the opposite, where you know, I'll be in a bad mood, or I'll even be sick or something, foul mood. I'll look at myself in the mirror and I'll see that there's this that I pretty much look the same. You know, there's sort of an intelligence there, you know, behind the eyes or something. I mean, is there anything to that? Just to if you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and you say, oh, no matter how bad or good I feel, that same look still seems to be, you know, behind the eyes, or that same intelligence is looking back, no matter how sick I am, or you know.
See, the point of the looking is not to understand the constancy of your nature. It's not to understand that there's that intelligence there. It's the same as it's always been. That's not what the looking is intended to produce. I mean, that can be produced, and it can happen in a mirror. It can happen in a lot of different ways. You know, yes, that's the same, but that's not what we're trying to accomplish. And that is part of the kind of way in which spiritual understandings can be clinging. Like because right, it's an undercurrent of something. It's not really expressed, but it's a foundation for seeing things, right? And that's not what we're doing. We're not trying to reveal to ourselves our unchanging nature. We're not trying to reveal to ourselves anything about ourselves. We are just trying to touch ourselves, for no purpose other than that touch. There's nothing to be gained in the way you're speaking of it, right? The looking in the mirror is okay, but that's looking in the mirror. That doesn't give you that touch, because that's all we're trying to do. And that's where the spiritual teachings and this work kind of depart from each other. Because in the spiritual teachings, for the most part, that's exactly what we're seeking. I mean, sometimes in some spiritual, some of the more esoteric ones, we're seeking, rainbow bodies and things of that nature. But in the teachings that have come down to us from the Upanishads, what we're seeking basically is a true understanding of our nature and the nature of reality. And if we can come to a true understanding of our nature, then everything will be settled and it'll be finished. That's the basic promise that underlies the Upanishadic teachings. And I say that understanding gives us nothing except understanding. And if the understanding appears within the context of the fear, it just gives us an understanding that further cements us to that foolish idea that life is going to swallow me up and that life is my enemy. So, it's just the touch. It's all not very complicated, not very interesting.
Okay.
Okay? I hope that's helpful. Okay, we got time for one more.